Good evening, everyone. This is the December 3rd meeting of the Revere City Council. Would everyone please rise to salute the flag?
Roll call of the members. Councilor Guanasso.
Here.
Here. Councilor Keefe.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito is absent. Councilor Novoselsky. Here. Councilor Patch. Here. Councilor Powers.
Here.
Here. Councilor Rizzo.
Here.
Here. Councilor Rotundo.
Present.
Here. Councilor Zambuto.
Here.
Here. And Council President Janino. Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the regular meeting of November 26, 2018.
So move.
Madam Clerk, I'm just going to take a moment of silence, if we can. Over the weekend, we lost the 41st President of the United States, George H.W. Bush. So if we could all just take a quick moment of silence to honor him and his service to our country. Thank you. And Councilor Novoselsky.
President, I know we usually do this in a public service announcements at the end, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that last night was the first night of Hanukkah, and I want to wish all my dear friends around the city happy Festival of Lights. And tomorrow night at 4:30 we'll be lighting the menorah in front of City Hall. And I do want to thank the Chabad organization out of Everett for providing the menorah. For many years, Revere had their own menorah, but it got old and it fell apart, and this organization came and they donate the menorah to us every year to be lit. So I thank you for that. Thank you for the time, and I hope everybody can make it tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ira. Councilor McKenna.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd like just to announce the Beachmont Improvement Committee tree lighting this Sunday at 5 o'clock at Cummings Park. Thank you.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor, for reminding me, because we're having the tree lighting at Costa Park on Thursday night at 5 o'clock, and Santa Claus will be coming down in his fire engine. So hope everybody can make it and have hot chocolate and help enjoy the season greetings. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors. Now everyone can put those notes in their calendar. All right. First on the agenda this evening is a certificate. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 3, a certificate of commendation will be presented to Carol Ty for her almost 60 years of dedicated service in the Revere Public School System as an educator, superintendent of public schools, and a member of the school committee.
So at this time, I'm going to welcome up Ms. Carol Ty and my colleague, Council Vice President Joy McKenna.
I don't know if I need my glasses. I don't know. I can't see. I can see. It's just... Congratulations. Thank you. So I would like to say a few words about Carol Ty. Carol Ty is one of the most generous people I know. She goes above and beyond the call of duty for the city of Revere and the people who live here. For 35 and a half years, Carol was an English teacher at Revere High School and served for 33 years as a union officer. She later went on to become the superintendent for Revere Public Schools for 6 years. And for the last 17 years, Carol has been a member of the Revere School Committee, and she also is an active member of many organizations in Revere. Not only is Carol my good friend, but she has been my mentor for the time I became a teacher to the president of the Beachmont Improvement Committee and now as city councilor. Every time I have a problem or need reinsurance, I go to Carol. She gives me advice on what to do and what not to do. She is the most intelligent, selfless, caring, kind, and logical woman I know. Although Carol likes to be recognized, she mostly gives of herself without praise or recognition. Much of her generosity is done behind the scenes and without anyone's knowledge. One example that happens every year is Carol finds needy families throughout the Revere Public School systems that are in need of food during the holidays. With a handful of people, which I am privileged to be a part of, she picks up food, organizes it, and gives out frozen turkeys and all the fixings for Thanksgiving and hams with all the fixings for Christmas. She especially makes sure, along with the food, children go home with toys. I have personally seen the deep appreciation and gratitude from these people when they come to the Garfield School to pick up their food. I am honored to be a part of this tribute along with Council President Jessica Giannino and give Carol the recognition that she so deserves. So as a tribute, Carol, to your honor tonight, we have hired Matt Martelli to paint an oil portrait of yourself so it can hang at Revere High School along with all the other former superintendents. I love you, Carol. Congratulations. Yes.
Jessica, thank you.
Of course. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you want to speak? Oh, no.
Well, it's really been my privilege to serve. You know, those of us who, wherever we are today, we stand on the shoulders of people who preceded us. And I've been lucky enough to stand on very sturdy shoulders all the way through. Every time I come here, I think of how I have always been treated, not only with respect, but with kindness by the people who were on this council, by the mayors, all the way from Peter Jordan, Billy Reinstein, George Colella. I taught Arthur's friend. I taught Ira when he was in the 7th grade. I wish I had taught Jessica, although I did get to interview her all the time on television when she was doing great things. I was Joanne's colleague. I've had wonderful colleagues, wonderful friends. I've had a wonderful life, and I am so grateful to everyone who has made it that wonderful. I appreciate all of your support. I especially appreciate the support that the council has given as we went through our 5-building program. And that came with the support from all of the mayors, you know, all the council. We sat down, we worked hard to get everything done, all the way from, you know, Tom Ambrosino and Dan Rizzo and Bobby Has, for whom I babysat, as you know. And, you know, it was a great, and I only look forward to working with the rest of you so that we can move forward and then come and open up a new high school together. Amen. Thank you.
Can you read the citation?
Yeah, please. Wait a minute. Don't do anything.
Madam President, can
Counselor.
I just say something?
Absolutely.
I know Carol was my teacher. Actually, I had her as a student teacher when she first started teaching. That was years ago. And, but not only is she respected, but she's loved. You know, I love you, Carol. You know, I always have. You're a great, great person. She's great to our veterans. Every year that we have our veterans program down in Beachmont, she always comes up with something that makes it worthwhile and makes a better day for all our veterans down there, and we thank you for that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm going to read the citation that we'll be presenting this evening. City of Revere Certificate of Commendation. In acknowledgement of your almost 60 years of dedicated service to the children of our community in the Revere Public School System as an educator, as a superintendent of public schools, and as a member of the school committee, special recognition is hereby accorded to Carol Tighe. In witness whereof, this certificate of commendation is gratefully bestowed by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens, this 3rd day of December, in the year of our Lord 2018, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 242nd. Signed by City Clerk Ashley Melnick and myself.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's open this to the one.
I'm going to invite the whole council up for a group picture. I also want to recognize our mayor, Brian Arrigo's here.
Madam President,
Yes,
point of personal privilege.
state your point, Counselor.
I would just like to congratulate Mr. Jim Rose on his birthday today. I'd like to wish him a happy birthday. He's in the audience here. He's being a little shy. Yeah, come on, stand up. You think I was going to let you get away with that, huh?
Thank you. At this time, I'm just going to ask for a roll call for suspension of rules. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered. We just have some department heads as well as the mayor here, so I want to take up a couple things out of order, Madam Clerk, 18, 19, and 20.
Calendar item number 18, communication from the city auditor relative to Transportation Network Infrastructure Fund appropriation.
Mr. Viskey.
Hello, good evening, Richard Viskey, City Auditor, 281 Broadway, Revere. Come before you tonight to request an appropriation from this revenue that the city now gets. Every ride that originates through Uber or Lyft or any kind of those transportation companies, we receive a dime for every ride that originates in this city. Believe it or not, the city of Revere was, I think, the 11th most popular pickup point in the Commonwealth. Over 722,000 rides originated in the city of Revere, which resulted in $72,214 from the Commonwealth to the city that can be used for transportation and infrastructure-related items. So I'm here before you just as a perfunctory that we received that money per the Department of Revenue. It needs to be appropriated by this body, so I'm recommending that we put that into our highway road repair account so that we could do some necessary transportation and infrastructure work, and I'm here to answer any questions if need be.
This is great, thank you. Any councilors? Councilor Rotundo.
What about, Mr. Mayor, you can obviously chime in and give me a better idea. What about a senior shuttle? That shuttle's, the last time I looked at it, was a little bit older. I'm not sure if this money would actually fit into that, but I think it would deem a purposeful thing. Maybe get a bigger one and we could accommodate more people, but you know the needs better than I do in that respect.
Two things, Counselor. One, the money has to be spent on infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and roadway infrastructure. Number two, we were able to purchase a new senior van pretty recently. It just got delivered, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that is a 12-passenger van, brand new. Previously, we had been relying on the goodwill of other folks to donate vans. So we, in the reviews that we did, the financial reviews that we did, we found some money. We will appropriate that money for a new senior shuttle van. So that has been done. Probably want to buy another one soon, but I think we're well on our way with one new one that can last a good long time for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Powers.
Through no fault of yours, I have several areas down in Ward 5 that have been, once again, through no fault of yours, neglected over a period of years. And I'm just wondering how this money will be allocated to the city councilors.
So we are asking that it be put into our roadway capital fund, which is the same fund that we had used when we dedicated, I believe it was $500,000 from free cash last year. So that's that same fund that we're enhancing what we get in Chapter 90 on top of what the city can provide. So this is the city funds that we use for street and sidewalk repairs.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Shall the City Council appropriate $72,214 to account number 40011-497-000 Roadway Capital Fund? Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the appropriation has been approved. Calendar item number 19, communication from the mayor regarding a park-it ticket amnesty program.
Mr. Mayor.
Madam President, members of the City Council, before you tonight is an order for your approval to implement a parking ticket amnesty program for the holidays. And essentially, the city would be waiving parking violations up to $30 in exchange for a new in-the-box toy of similar value. We would run this amnesty program until December 21st so that we could actually distribute the toys to our Revere students. We know that similar programs have been done in other communities in the Commonwealth, and we figured this would be a creative way to give back to some needy children in our community. So I am recommending and asking for approval of the order that's before you. Thank you. If you have any questions, myself or the parking director are here.
Madam President,
Counselor.
through you to the mayor, just considering how certain items cost at a higher value, would you be remiss to go at $50?
So we wanted to do 30 because that is the average kind of ticket value that we figure.
Okay, gotcha.
And what we are doing is saying up to 5 tickets.
Okay.
So if somebody comes in with a $200, gift, we'll do up to 5 tickets of $30 each.
So that the public knows that it's $30 up to $150 in total.
Right, exactly.
Any other counselors? Madam Clerk? Thank you.
That upon payment of an unpaid parking fine and the donation of a new unused toy of similar or greater value for donation to a worthy charitable purpose, the parking director, beginning on the day of this order and ending at the close of business on December 21st, 2018, shall waive up to $30 per ticket, maximum 5 tickets, in unpaid parking fines as provided in Section 10.48.160 of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the parking director shall not waive any surcharge imposed by the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles if the parking director has notified the Register of Motor Vehicles of an unpaid fine and a non-renewal license and/or registration has been recorded by the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes, the order has been approved.
20?
Calendar item number 20, communication from the Election Commissioner requesting approval to move from the Freeman Street Fire Station to the Turkish Cultural Center, also known as St. Teresa's Church.
Does anyone have any questions? Pretty straightforward. Councilor Powers?
Thank you, Madam President. I think by doing this, we're creating a problem of public safety that has existed for many years with cars pulling in and out of the Freeman Street Fire Station. I understand Diane, our election secretary, has spoken to the owners of the property down there, and they've agreed, and there's also going to be adequate parking in the rear of the property to accommodate people going. I think it's a great move on, and this is a great move on Diane's part. She's done an excellent job down there, and this will facilitate the way people get in and out of there, which, sometimes people are trying to get in to vote, and Engine 5 is coming out of the fire station, and it's not really working that well. So I want to congratulate you, Diane, for presenting this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other councilors? Do you have anything? Any questions? No? Madam Clerk?
In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 54, Section 24, shall the City Council approve the move of the Ward 5 Precinct 2A polling location from the Freeman Street Fire Station at 2 Freeman Street to the Turkish Cultural Center at 500 Revere Street? Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna. Yes. Yes. Councilor Morbido. Yes. Councilor Novoselsky. Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes, the move has been approved.
I'd just like to thank Councilor Powers for his support and his time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dan. At this time, we'll return to the regular order of business. All in favor? All opposed? Public hearings.
Calendar item number 4, hearing called as ordered on the application of Array Bavasar DBA Revere Beach Food Mart, requesting permission from the City Council to install an awning at 161 Shirley Avenue.
Hi, good evening, Respected Ma'am, and all of the River Beach and the river in the make the good. So we apply for the in the sign for the business. So can you help for me, please? Thank you.
So this is a public hearing, so we'll call any other proponents. Any other proponents? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Anyone opposed? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. At this time, I'm going to open it up to city councilors. Any city councilors? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, this business is at 161 Shirley Avenue, right opposite Walden Street, right next to the municipal parking lot. And he's been down there for many years. He runs a good business. It's the old 5 and 10 for everybody that needs a little memory. So he's doing a good job. He already painted the front of the building, and it looks nice. And they want to put the awning up and trying to dress it up a little more. So I have no problem with this, and I hope it moves forward tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. I echo the same sentiments as Councilor Novoselsky. They're on a great business. The property's clean. I support this totally.
Councilor Morbido.
I've been in the market numerous amount of times. He's doing everything he can to keep the presentation of his building clean and appealing to the eye, so I'm all in favor for this as well.
Any other councilors? Madam Clerk?
Shall the City Council grant permission to Revere Beach Food Mart to install an awning at 161 Shirley Avenue? Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Morbido.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Patch.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Powers.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Rotundo. Yes, Counsel Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes, the awning permit has been approved.
Thank you for big support. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Calendar item number 5 is the Legislative Affairs Committee report.
Counselor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam President. As we know, the Legislative Affairs Committee met earlier this evening. 2 items were on the agenda. One was an ordinance relative to abandoned bicycles. The committee voted out favorably on that. And also an ordinance relative to snow, slush, and ice removal from sidewalks. They also voted out favorably on that, so I would ask that we vote on both these ordinances tonight. Thank you.
Any counselors?
Madam President.
Counselor Novoselsky.
Madam President, I'm sorry I couldn't make the meeting, but there was one section that I had was bothered with, and it's the bicycle parking on a public way. I wasn't too happy to see that they may allow bikes locked to street signs and parking meters. So I have a problem with that because some of the sidewalks are not very wide. And the other part is in section B of the same section, part B. It said a minimum of 36 inches on an unobstructed way on a sidewalk. The sidewalks on Shirley Ave are very, very, very smaller, but we still have to make it wide enough for ADA compliance. So I would ask that that be changed from 36 to 42 inches, and the parking meters and street signs be taken out as non-locations to have locks put on. So.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Rotundo.
Thank you, Madam President. I understand Councilor Novoselsky's concern. If we take a look at the greater issue here regarding the bikes that are strewn all over the city, in particular, the green bikes or the line bikes, whatever bike that comes in here, they already occupy a presence on our sidewalks and our streets in inconvenient places. This, I believe, is in ADA compliance, in particular because it's a temporary posturing of a bike. More importantly, it can be removed. So I'm going to support this measure as it is, and I believe it fits with the ADA as I read it. Thank you.
Any other counselors?
Madam President, I would hope those make that a substitute motion and an amendment to this, and let the body vote on it. And if they shoot it down, they shoot it down. If they want to move on, they move on.
With all due respect to my colleague, we're still voting on what was put out of the committee. I understand you couldn't make the committee tonight, but I mean, there was a lot of time to bring something up before this when we reached this stage.
Counselor,
we can revisit your issue later.
Counselor, let me say this to you. There's many times that you come up with the same type of scenarios.
I'm not looking to get
And I don't
into
try
that.
and shoot anybody down. It's anybody's right to make an adjustment and make a change if the council chooses not to go for it. They chose not to go for it.
Okay.
And that, just give me the right time of day. That's all I'm looking for.
Counselors.
I'm not looking for a fight.
I'm not looking for a fight.
I'm looking for some changes.
Thank you, counselors. Madam Clerk, I believe there's a substitute motion on the floor on the substitute motion.
I'm trying to clarify it for her, Madam President. To remove street sign pole and parking meters pole in 8.06040, bicycle parking on the public way, Section A, remove those 2 items, and in Section B, change 36 inches of unobstructed passage on a sidewalk to 42 inches. And that's my substitute. Thank you.
On the substitute motion, Madam Clerk.
So on the amendments offered by Councilor Novoselsky, Councilor Guanasso?
No.
No. Councilor Keefe?
No.
No. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
No.
No. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
I'm sorry, Madam President. I'm just confused here. Before I vote, I know this isn't a major piece of legislation we're doing here, but can you repeat again what we are I believe we're striking a section? Words.
He's looking to remove the ability to chain the bikes to parking signs and meters, and as well as expanding the footage of the sidewalk and street signs.
You want them to be able to use?
No.
Not to use them?
Correct. So he's
Okay.
asking to remove parking meters and street signs, the ability to chain bikes to them.
Oh, okay.
And expand the width of a sidewalk from 36 to 42.
Okay, yes.
President, point of order.
Yes.
I mean, with all due respect, this is illogical right here. It does not take up the length of a sidewalk. A bicycle is no greater than 4 inches thick. I mean, honestly, when you park a bicycle, you don't park at the length of a sidewalk. You don't encumber the sidewalk. It is put on
Madam
the side.
President, point of order, we're under roll call.
Councilor Rotundo?
No. I'm a no.
Councilor Rizzo voting yes on the amendments. Councilor Rotundo? No. No. Councilor Zambudo?
No.
No. And Council President Giannino?
Oh, this is a tough one. No.
No, the amendments fail.
On the motion is voted by subcommittee. This will be ordered to a second reading.
No.
Councilor Novoselsky voting no. Ordered to a third and, nope.
Votes no in second reading, it's automatically tabled.
Oh, this will be tabled. Councilor Zambudo, calendar item number 6 is the ordinance on snow, slush, and ice.
Yes, it was voted out favorably, and I'd ask for a roll call vote on it unless there's some last-minute amendments that have to be brought up after a lengthy committee meeting.
As a matter of fact, Madam President, I would like to state a no. I'm only kidding, I'm sorry.
All right, I'm going to have the clerk read this onto the record as this is a completely new ordinance, and then we'll go through the motions. Madam Clerk?
So what the council would be voting on this evening, if they decide to, section 12.04.350, snow, slush, ice on sidewalks. Section A, summary, sections 12.04.350 through sections 12.04.354 of chapter 12.04 of Title 8 comprise the City of Revere ordinances with respect to the removal of the natural accumulation of snow, ice, and slush on public sidewalks and to reducing or alleviating the public safety hazard caused by the unnatural discharge or runoff of water onto the public sidewalk or public way. B, definitions. 1, city means the City of Revere. 2, natural formation of ice means ice that has formed from water existing as a pool or puddle or otherwise collected as a result of an act of nature. Water that pools, puddles, or accumulates on the sidewalk or public way as a result of its discharge from a sump pump or from the runoff of a yard, roof, downspout, gutter, or other structure, and then freezes upon said public way or sidewalk shall not constitute a natural formation of ice. 3, natural accumulation of snow. An accumulation of snow occurring as a result of an act of nature and remains in its natural state. 4, owner means a person or persons or other legal entity owning the title to any building or parcel of land, vacant or not. An owner shall include the trustee or guardian of the estate of the holder of legal title, a mortgagee in possession or control of any property, the lawful appointee of a court of the Commonwealth vested with possession and control of a property, the officer, trustee, or board representing the association of unit owners of a condominium existing under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 183A. Number 5, public way, publicly owned land that comprises a passageway, however designated or named, designed for travel by any vehicle or pedestrian. 6, runoff. For the purposes of this chapter, runoff shall refer to water or other liquid that flows, drips, drains, spills, or otherwise is directed from a source on private property, such as a yard, roof, downspout, gutter, or other structure, to a place on the sidewalk or public way where it pools, puddles, or otherwise accumulates. Number 7, sidewalk. Any paved area adjacent to a public or private way which is devoted to pedestrian travel, including any accessory ramping and curb cuts connecting the sidewalk to the traveled portion of an adjacent street, and regardless whether such sidewalk is boarded with a curbstone. And 8, sub-pump means any pump used to remove water or other liquid accumulated in a basin, floor, or yard of a privately owned property.
So the clerk read what was submitted as discussion for the subcommittee. She's going to continue reading, but the rest of it is what's been published is the draft of the ordinance. Oh, she's going to continue reading it to put it onto the record.
New section section 12.04.351, removal of snow and/or slush. Section A, no more than 24 hours after a snowfall has ended. When a snowfall has ended between sunrise and sunset, the owner of any real estate abutting any sidewalk or public way within City Hall shall remove or cause to be removed any snow or slush which has accumulated upon such sidewalk or public way. Subsection B, removal of such snow or slush shall be sufficient to clear a path that permits the orderly flow of pedestrian traffic upon such sidewalk, in no case less than 36 inches wide. Subsection C, no person other than a municipal employee or contractor performing snow removal service for the city shall place or cause to be placed any snow or ice onto a sidewalk or public way. New section 12.04.352, removal or remediation of ice. Subsection A, no more than 24 hours after ice has formed upon a sidewalk or public way, whether by natural formation or otherwise, the owner of any real estate abutting any sidewalk or public way within the city shall remove or cause to be removed any such ice where the ice cannot be removed completely. Any remaining ice shall be covered with sand, salt, or other suitable substance to prevent slipping. New section 12.04.353, discharge of liquid, pumps, and runoff. Subsection A, the owner of property from which it is discharged, water or other liquid, unnaturally by sump pump or by runoff onto the public sidewalk or street that causes a hazardous condition or that results in a hazardous condition for pedestrians or vehicles, shall cease said discharge and/or take reasonable steps to prevent the hazardous condition by redirecting said discharge away from the public sidewalk or street. Where such redirection is neither practical or feasible, the owner shall otherwise neutralize or make safe the hazardous condition. In subsection B, ice resulting from such discharge as described in section A is subject to the provisions of section 12.04.352. And lastly, new section 12.04.354, enforcement and exemptions. Subsection A shall be enforced by the Department of the Inspectional Services. Subsection B, the owner of any dwelling in the city shall be responsible to assure compliance with the provision of this chapter, and such legal responsibility under this ordinance is non-delegable by lease or other arrangement. Subsection C, the owner of any property in violation of the provisions of this chapter shall be subject to the penalty set forth in chapters 1.12, 100 through 1.12190. And finally, subsection D, notwithstanding the foregoing, an owner of the residential property who is age 65 years or older or is disabled shall be exempt from the enforcement and penalty provisions of this chapter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now for the quiz. Councilor McKenna. All right. This is a new ordinance. It was voted out favorably by subcommittee. At this time, it's been read into the record, so it's ordered on a second reading as amended. ordered on a third and final reading as amended. Roll call for engrossment and ordainment as amended.
Shall the City Council approve an ordinance relative to snow, slush, and ice on sidewalks as amended? Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes?
Yes. Councilor Rotundo? Yes. Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the ordinance has been approved, engrossed and ordained.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next on the agenda is the Ways and Means Subcommittee report. I'm going to open it up to Councilor Rizzo to read his report.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This had to do with adopting a Mass General law that would adjust the compensation for the retirement board members from its current rate, which it's been set at for the last 22 years of $3,000 per year, and now adopting this Mass General law change would boost that compensation from $3,000 to $4,500. We met here earlier. John Henry, member of the board since 2009, was up here to speak on it. Had explained that the money does not come from the taxpayers, it comes from the retirement system itself. So, you know, it was agreed and voted on unanimously by members present of the Ways and Means Subcommittee to adopt the Mass General law. And if the clerk could read exactly the Mass General law, I don't have it right in front of me, but if she could read that, it was voted out unanimously from the Ways and Means Subcommittee of those members that were present. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Rizzo. Madam Clerk?
Shall the City Council accept Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 32, Section 20, Subsection 6, relative to retirement board member compensation? Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes?
Yes. Councilor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the general law has been accepted. Calendar item number 9 is the Appointment Subcommittee report.
Councilor Guanasso.
Madam President, earlier this evening, the Appointment Subcommittee met. We had one item before us. Item 18-394 is the reappointment of William Reedy to the Historical Commission for a 3-year period. He was voted out unanimously, and I ask this board to do so also. Thank you, Madam President.
Any councilors on the appointment? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Rule 23 committee reports. In accordance with the provisions of Rule 23 of the City Council Rules of Order, the following motions or communications are being reported out of committee with a recommendation to be placed on file. Calendar item number 10 is a motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that a citizen review board be established. Further, that an online citizen complaint form be placed online and be utilized to make complaints and suggestions or compliments regarding any city employee.
Councilor Rotundo, you want to keep that in committee or place it on file?
Place it on file.
Placed on
It
file.
seems like there's no appetite.
Number 11?
Calendar item number 11, communication from the mayor relative to the Revere Police Organizational Review.
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 12 is a motion presented by Councilor Rotundo relative to a 4-month construction moratorium on properties 6 units or larger.
Same, placed on file.
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 13, motion presented by Councilors Keefe and Guanasso that the mayor request the city solicitor to revise Boston's short-term rental ordinance.
We're going to ask to keep that in committee.
Keep in committee.
Calendar item number 14, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the city of Revere change its building code to mandate any building with 50 units or more must maintain an AED in its lobby.
Councilor Rotundo?
Keep in committee, please.
Committee?
Calendar item number 15 is a motion by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor, fire chief, and chief of police meet in executive session to speak about the security profile at the Sandcastle event.
Place on file?
No, in committee. I'm still waiting for them to appear.
Committee?
Calendar item number 16 is motion presented by Councilor Morbido, that the mayor request MassDOT to investigate the feasibility of reallowing a U-turn on North Shore Road at Chalmette Street.
Councilor Morbido?
Leave it in committee.
Committee?
Calendar item number 17, motion presented by Councilors Janino and McKenna, that the mayor request the DPW to investigate the feasibility of using a more visible paint color for crosswalks.
Do you want to keep it committee? Committee. We already finished communication, so we're on to motions.
Calendar item number 21, motion presented by Councilor Keefe, that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to repeal the provision of the commercial vehicle parking ordinance, which allows for the permitting of take-home company vehicles not registered to the city of Revere.
Thank you, Madam President. I have in front of me, and I'm not sure if every council has a copy, but the original ordinance had the initial statement for vehicles, commercial vehicles, to obtain a permit in the city so that they can park on the street. This was intended to be for commercial vehicles with business in the city, meaning a restaurant that may have a delivery vehicle that they need to use, or the tile company, for instance, that has a business in Revere, paying Revere taxes, paying licenses, and then, of course, having their vehicle registered to the city, and, of course, paying excise revenue to the city. What had happened, if you look at the section I have here, on Section 2, it originally had stated the commercial vehicle shall be registered to a Revere address, very simple. And then what was added to it was, or a letter from a business that the vehicle is registered to must be submitted along with why the permit is required on company overhead, on company letterhead. And that allowed for vehicles that were registered outside of the city and businesses outside of the city to obtain these commercial vehicle permits, which I'm pretty sure all of us were hoping to avoid. So I'd like to go back to the original ordinance where the purpose was to only allow commercial vehicles that were registered to Revere, that were registered to Revere businesses in our city, because this would limit it. We don't want to have this open free-for-all, and we're trying to do a little bit of a favor to Revere businesses and homeowners in Revere. So I don't know what happened or when it changed. It certainly didn't go through us, which we all know, but I'd like to have that amended back to the original intent, and I think that we would all feel the same way. Yes.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Ganasso.
Thank you, Madam President. This, to me, is one of the most important items that we have to meet with this year, I think. I think it's so crucial to our community to keep the fabric of community as it is. One only has to watch and go down and traverse the streets of our community, and you see overnight Comcast trucks parked all over the street. And that's just naming one company. Now, the hardest thing for most companies to do is to find proper parking for their commercial vehicles. It seems like the city of Revere, on every street, there's 2 and 3 commercial vehicles parked. Once we relieve that from our community, this is going to be a very, very nice community once and for all, bearing in mind with the traffic. And I think that this also leads to what we need to have more important than anything, and you, Councilor President Janino, are working on it, and I applaud you for it, is parking restrictions and for resident parking only. This will address that by its nature. But I think Councilor Keefe makes a perfect point to strike those words and to keep it as it was. The commercial vehicle shall be registered to a Revere address. That's simple enough, and it states the point that we all want, I believe. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. So I think we addressed this 2 weeks ago, that we were going to lower the permit parking stickers for Revere residents. I think we did talk about this as a body. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought we talked about this, that we were going to lower the...
Point of information.
Let Councilor Keefe state his point.
Thank you, Madam President, through you to Council McKenna. So there was some intention of reducing the fee, which, again, I would be totally against, but that did not address allowing outside city vehicles to obtain the permit. That was just to potentially reduce the fee, because there was some complaints that the $420 fee was a little too high. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it 100 times over. If you have a business and you live in the city and you want to be able to park on a city street, I think $420 is fair. We really, I don't think most of the city, if you ask, most people don't want anything. But we're doing a little bit of some support and help to people that have homes in Revere and also have a business in Revere, and trying to give them a little bit more leeway. But I wouldn't want to give anyone else another inch. And I don't think anyone would, I think everyone would agree with that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Madam President. My concern is how many vehicles? How many vehicles do you allow? If one person owns a company and they live in the city of Revere, and I've seen it actually in many parts of the city, in particular up on Florence Avenue, also down on Mountain. I've had the same problem down in Washington, also on Malden, in particular regarding a carpet company on Washington. Matter of fact, not too far from your aunt's house, Danny. And my concern is, how many vehicles?
It's currently listed as one for registered vehicle to the address.
Thank you. Councilor Morbido.
I just add the point of information, as Councilor Keefe said, the original motion presented by Councilor Janino and McKenna was to reduce the cost of commercial vehicles, which I was against as well. And then I guess about 2 weeks ago, or a week after the motion was submitted, the Traffic Commission had already voted to lower the commercial fee.
Any other councilors? On Councilor Keefe's motion, all in favor? Councilor Rotundo voting no. All opposed? So you're voting no as well? So, Madam Clerk, can we call the roll?
Madam President, I know you've called for a roll call, but is there a way, before voting for this, we can maybe put it in committee to discuss it a little more? I mean, we've talked about resident sticker parking, we've talked about fees for people to park vehicles who own businesses. I mean, I think it's a bigger conversation, just go into a roll call on something like this.
The point of this is to put it back to what the council originally voted on. It's been changed since we voted on it. So that's why I don't think there's need for committee, because the council already passed it and it was changed since it's left our hands. So this is just to go back to what was voted on by the city council. But if anyone wants to put it into committee, we can talk about it for a fifth time, I suppose. Councilor?
Madam President, I have no issue. We can put this in committee, but I just want to, this is out there. This is currently the ordinance in play right now today. So whether you know it or not, vehicles, you can have a vehicle and get a commercial permit parking and parking in front of your house on your street right now. And if that was a take-home vehicle from your job at Panera Bread in Chelsea or Malden, you could take it home and park it in front of your house. That's in play right now. I'm trying to strike that, because what we do have is the tile company on Proctor Ave, let's just say, I'm not going to use the name, very nice business, family-owned business in the city of Revere. They are able to park their vehicle in front of their house without getting tagged. They pay the extra fee, and currently on the books, we have 66 permits that have been given out this year. Of the 66, how many of them are businesses outside the city? I'm not sure. I can tell you one for certain, and it's just one too many.
Thank you, Councilor.
So, thank you.
I think the reason why I don't believe this needs to go to committee is because the council voted on this. This is verbiage that the council voted on. It was changed after it left the council and was voted upon by the city council. So we're not voting on anything new. We're voting on.
Well, Madam President,
it was changed by the
so that's my
administration,
question. When it left the city council, how did it change? That's what I want to know.
It was
before we
changed by the
vote on it.
Traffic Commission.
They don't have a right to.
They have precedent over the council when it comes to
They
ordinances
can change it,
that
but
we
they
send
don't
to
have
it.
the right to codify it. That's state law, unless I'm wrong.
Well, my
They
question
don't
would
make the
be,
rules.
if we vote on this tonight, the Traffic Commission can ultimately do what they want with respect to it anyway. So why are we just going to keep going back and forth with the Traffic Commission, or I just don't understand it?
Point of information.
So we can send it to committee and then leave it there and nothing happens, I guess, if that is
Well, we
more
could vote
effective.
on it, and then the Traffic Commission presumably could take it back up and put it back. like that, you know.
So I'll leave it up to Councilor Keefe. Councilor Keefe, would you like this to go to committee, or do you want to vote on it this evening?
Well, my hopes would be to ultimately vote on it and then go to the Traffic Commission and say, we have either a unanimous or a majority vote that we want to strike the allowing of vehicles from outside the city to be included into this ordinance. That's the hopes.
Point of clarity here.
Councilor Cambudo?
Can we try to work together with the Traffic Commission to get something that we can all agree on so that it works for the city?
So if that's the point, perhaps we can put it in committee and ask the Traffic Commission or a member from the Traffic Commission to meet, to discuss it.
Even if it's a joint meeting, just so that we work for the common good of the city, not working against one agency against another. Are you kidding me?
So we'll send this to the Legislative Affairs for a joint meeting with the Traffic Commission.
Sounds good, thank you.
Good idea.
Calendar item number 22, motion presented by Councilor Morbido, that the mayor request the police department to place speed traps on Harris Street, Patriot Parkway, Prospect Ave, and Suffolk Ave as a safety measure to reduce vehicles speeding in the four named residential neighborhoods.
Councilor Morbido.
As most of us up here have received complaints, one of the most common complaints from constituents are speeding. There were residents in these four neighborhoods that have come to me and complained about speeding. Therefore, I think if the Revere Police Department put speed traps on each one of these streets, it will somehow slow traffic down and caution the drivers that to slow down.
Any other councilors? Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank Councilor Morbido. I'm glad that he took some interest in Suffolk Ave. I can't understand why, but I'm very happy that you took that interest. Thank you. Our newest Ward 4 resident.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. I see that Harris Street is included here, and I don't have any problem with the police tagging cars speeding on Harris Street or any other street in this community. However, I'd like to note that Harris Street is one way from the highway up all the way out, and many people do use that as a cut-through to beat Mahoney, aka Bell Circle. So I think that it's a good motion, but I'd also like to see the one-way enforced more on that particular street. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Madam President. I've been working with the Revere Police in reference to Patriot Parkway. Patriot Parkway happens to be one of the widest streets in the community, and most of the traffic travels down Patriot Parkway. They try to circumvent going to the proper area of going down Malden Street all the way with these trucks, and they cut off, and then they make Patriot Parkway a commercial highway. And they go at great rates of speed, and I certainly concur with Councilor Morbido. Whoever spoke with him, and it probably has spoken to me also, but I've been working with the Revere Police to try to reduce the speed at the Patriot Parkway. In fact, we also had a speed sign posted not too long ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And, you know, it's a daily occurrence, Madam President, because people continually, they see a wide street, they take off. And some of them even go right through the stop sign that's at the Romney Road and Patriot Parkway. So to have a police presence there is very difficult. I understand we have limited resources, but something has to be done at Patriot Parkway because it is a major highway now, and people are speeding, and someone's going to get hurt, and we hope to prevent that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Any other councilors? I was just saying to my colleague, Councilor Patch, we're lucky in Ward 6, we have built-in speed traps from National Grid from all the trenches that have sunk since they've put work in. So we don't have that issue for speeding, but we have other issues.
Eric Lampadecchio, 43 Tapley Avenue. I just want to say thank you to Councilor Morbido for putting this motion forward. I've been working with the Traffic Commission on Harris Street for quite some time. I'd also like to thank the city. They recently filled my 311 request to get new stop signs and stop lines on Harris Street, so thank you. To that point, this may be worth adding to your agenda when you guys meet together with the Traffic Commission and to discuss this further with them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Morbido, do you want this to go to committee, or do you wish to vote on it this evening?
I wish to vote on it this evening.
All right, any other councilors? You want to speak on it again?
Madam President, I'd like to amend the motion to instruct the Revere Police to be more diligent with regard to cars going in the opposite, in the illegal direction on Harris Street, which happens many times. People are trying to beat that traffic at Bell Circle, and that's what is a result, and they're speeding, and there's a crest up on the top of the hill, and it's very difficult for, for people to see getting over that crest.
So should we amend it to say speeding as well as other moving violations on the streets?
Yes, exactly.
All right, so speeding and moving violations. On the motion as amended, it's just to say speeding and moving violations. So speed traps. Please, hold on.
Point of information, it says speed traps, not speeding.
To request the police department to place speed traps and enforce speeding and moving violations on Harris Street, Patriots Parkway, Prospect Ave, and Suffolk Ave.
Sure. I don't know what that means, but
Councilor
speed
Powers
traps,
is concerned about people going the wrong way down the one-way street, so he wants to include that in your
I
motion
don't know
about speed
how
traps.
that's,
It's Harris Street. On the motion
Sure,
as amended,
let's
all
do
in
it.
favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 23, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor request a representative from D'Ambrosio Brown Law Firm to appear before the city council on the following properties: 29 Thayer Ave and 585 North Shore Road.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. 29 Thayer Avenue is a mess. There are piles of rubble. There's a dumpster that's been down there for a month without being emptied by the owners of the property. There are blue barrels attached to floats floating up and down the Pines River. We talked about this several months ago. I did with D'Ambrosio Brown. And those things are still there, and I'd like them taken out. People that live in Riverside and that area of the city have the right to be able to have their area clean. They work very hard, they take care of their property, and then to drive down the end of Mills Avenue and see piles of rubble and a dumpster that's been sitting there for a long period of time, and other rubble on the property, at the rear of the property, it's not acceptable. And I would like that D'Ambrosio Brown, a representative from their firm, to come up here and explain to me and the city council what they've accumulated in fines, what action they're taking, and also the building at 585 North Shore Road. That's the old refrigeration building. I was in there when they had the oil spill a couple of years ago, and I almost went through the floor. Now, my understanding is, just in that building alone, they've accumulated over $200,000 in fines. And I'd like to know what's going on with that. Is it being enforced? Are they paying the fines? Whatever the case may be. I had meetings at D'Ambrosio Brown's office with the owner of the property, and we asked them to demolish the property, get it down. There's a house in back of that property attached to the main building, and it's an eyesore, and it's a danger to the residents of this city. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Councilor Powers, I just have one comment on this, if I may. If we ask D'Ambrosio Brown to appear before us, we're responsible for paying for them to appear before us. So if we ask Inspectional Services to update us on these properties, we're keeping it within the city?
Madam President, can you help me understand this? Who owns the property?
Councilor Powers, who's the owner of the properties?
That's questionable. That's questionable. My understanding is, from what I heard out on the street, that the property had been sold. I was under agreement. I had a meeting last week at the Point of Pines Yacht Club, and with some potential developers. We explained, as a matter of fact, this city council changed the zoning down there about 2 or 3 months ago to allow single-family homes only. And that's what I want to see down there. I don't want to see anybody come in with buildings 5 and 6 stories high as they have in the past. So I think the first thing that has to happen is the property has to get cleaned up, and then a neighborhood meeting has to be held at the Point of Pines Yacht Club on a night that works for everybody that may work late or something like that, to discuss what is going on down there. It's been sitting there for years, and I think it's time that all changed. Thank you, Madam President.
Why would it be,
Point of
Madam
information.
President?
Councilor Rotundo has a point, then Councilor Patch.
Why are we asking D'Ambrosio to come before us again? What's the
I think I
purpose?
have that answer. if you want.
Councilor Patch?
I know I have the answer, and I'm sure Councilor Patch does too, and I'll allow Councilor Patch. Thank you.
Patch?
I believe they've been, the inspection services, any vacant houses given to D'Ambrosio and Brown.
So can we ask inspectional
So
services
if
so we
they-
don't have to pay for an attorney's office to appear before us?
Well, with all due respect, Madam President, this is my point. If they're the ones that are providing the care for the property and the management of the property, we shouldn't be paying them nothing. In fact, they can get fined for not keeping the upkeep of the property. So there are certain companies that take lien properties and they manage them for the bank. And if that's what's going on here, if they're managing these property for the bank or for the city, then they're responsible for the upkeep of the property legally.
That's why I'm asking them to come up here.
All right,
That's why I
so
want
they're
them
the
up
ones
here.
that are legally responsible for the property, is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, they're the ones that are working for the city to facilitate the cleaning of those properties and the maintenance and upkeep. That's what I'm saying. And I'd like them to come up here and explain to the city what we've collected in fines so far and exactly what the status is of those properties right
Perfect.
now. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, councilors. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councilor Keefe, that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Jeff D'Agostino for his 39-plus years of service to the community through the Revere Youth Basketball Program.
Councilor Keefe.
Thank you. I'll save my comments for the night that we decide to do this. This one did happen to come through the Recreation Department. I felt strongly about recognizing Mr. D'Agostino. All your support will be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any councilors have any comments on this? On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilors McKenna and Janino that the mayor extend the street sweeping program into the first 2 weeks of December, beginning in 2019.
And if I may, really quick, just to clarify with my colleagues, this was a mistake. It was a miscommunication between Councilor McKenna and I. We went to put it in on time, but she thought I was putting it in, and I thought she was putting it in, so that's why they ended up as late, so they're not of an emergency nature, but it was a mistake. They should have been on time. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. So because of the warm weather, the trees are still left on the trees. The leaves are still left on the trees, so, and they're not falling. And we're done with the street sweeping and the yard waste. So I'm just looking for maybe, I know, I put this motion in a couple of years ago when I first started, but, and it was denied because it is extra money for the city. But it really needs to be addressed. There's leaves in the gutters, at street gutters, and they're clogging the sewers. And our first snowfall, it's going to be a mess. And then it makes the city look dirty. So I'm just asking if maybe for next year, we could find it in the budget to increase street sweeping and yard waste removal for maybe 2 weeks or the whole month of December. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, it's funny that the council put this in. I had a discussion today with one of the DPW workers, and I'm told that it has been extended 2 weeks into December officially, and it's not a money issue. It's a weather issue. The equipment cannot operate under a certain temperature, so the transmission oil fluid freezes on them, so they can't send the equipment out. So it's more of a weather issue than a financial issue, but they're taking it 2 weeks at a time right now. They'll do it 2 weeks as if the weather is warm enough after December 15th or so, then they will do it another 2 weeks. So it depends on the equipment, and, you know, I appreciate that the council put this in because it did come up in a discussion this morning, so I hope that clarifies things for you.
Madam President, I just think that we don't have any kind of PR, so no one knows anything. You know, I didn't know, and I think the residents of the city don't know, they don't know. So how are they going to move their cars and clean up and continue the yard waste if no one knows anything? So, I mean, at 2 weeks, we're at third week. This is the 3rd of December. So I don't know. I hope that the mayor can make an all-call and make sure that these people, the citizens of Revere, know.
Madam President, if I may.
Counselor.
Just as an FYI, the street sweeping signs in the city are dated to November 30th. So anything after November 30th, they cannot tag for people parked on their streets unless the signs have no date on it, then they can tag them. So.
Thank you, councilors.
So they will not be tagged.
At that point, it becomes optional, I suppose, if you want to move your car. So it's in your best interest to move the car so your neighborhood is clean. However, they can't tag it. Any other councilors? On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilors McKenna and Janino that the city start an organic compost for residents to drop off their organic waste at a designated location. Composting can remove 20 to 50% from the household waste stream, reducing the burden on landfills while replenishing lawns, trees, houseplants, or gardens for free.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. My colleagues, if I may briefly, again, I apologize for this going in as a late. This was a miscommunication. We meant to get it in on time, I swear. This is something that my colleague, Council Vice President McKenna, and I talked about. She's very creative, and it came up in conversation, and I think it's a great idea. Any ways that we can be creative and work with the city to save. You know, there are so many different solutions. If you could use this compost for, you know, public parks and fields and things like that. I think it's a great idea to look into. I hope it goes to committee so we can talk about it more. But it's just a creative idea, and I think it's a good one. Councilor McKenna?
Thank you, Madam President. So it's just to take the burden off of landfills. And there's a number of things that you can put in that are organic and that you can put into compost, such as, and I wrote it down, coffee grinds, tea bags, paper, pizza boxes that you can't put in recycle bins, sawdust, wood, hair, fur, and newspapers. And that's just a small tablet of what you can put in there. There's a number of things you can put into compost. I just think it would be a great start for Revere to find a site that we could start this, and then it would take, and I think it would really help our taxes too, eventually. You know, reduce our taxes with the yard waste. So thank you. It's just an idea. Thank you.
And it's a great idea. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I think this should be put in committee, and unfortunately, it's a great idea. It's nice to think out of the box, but in speaking to landscapers and people in DPW, when you have a compost, that's where our rodents live. They make homes in those piles. So you have to really think twice about what you want to do. So.
Well said, Councilor, and that's a great reason why it should go to committee. So I'm going to put this into DPW committee.
And final late motion presented by Councilor Janino that the City Council send a letter to our state delegation opposing Wheelabrator's request for an exemption to DEP's new air emission standards as their facility is old and would be too costly to retrofit.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and if I may, colleagues, speak briefly. This I did put in as a late because I was informed about it this morning, so this one I do not apologize for, but we're on a deadline. We have until Friday to submit any commentary on this, so just to make a very long story short, they're looking, the DEP is basically going over Wheelabrator Saugus' emission control plan. So there are 2 points that we basically, I'm making, and in conjunction with Representative Rosalie Vincent, who's been really a champion making sure that our residents are protected over there. First, that the DEP should not allow Wheelabrators a higher alternate emission standard for nitrogen oxide. And second, that the DEP ought to require continuous emission monitoring for dioxins, furans, and other toxic pollutants at the incinerator and at all others across Massachusetts. And they test continuously, but some of the more poisonous ones like nitrogen, carbon, and sulfur are only tested yearly sometimes. So she's looking, the representative's looking for a little bit more support in increasing the testing on those poisonous gases. So I drafted a letter that I'm going to be submitting, and I welcome any of my colleagues to join me in this effort, and I welcome any questions.
Madam President, yeah, I spoke with Rosalie earlier this evening, and basically what they're looking to do is have the state allow them to not comply with the conditions that are already in place. And it would make Revere the only community in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts where that is allowed. That facility is probably over 40 years old now. The life expectancy of that facility at the time when it was permitted was approximately 25 years. And the thing that really affects the city of Revere is those smokestacks coming out of there. The piles of ash that are down there, some of those piles are twice the height of houses on Riverside in this city. And they also affect Councilor Ganasso, Lower Revere Street area, that's right in the pathway there. So it's a serious problem. I, again, would urge any councilor to submit a communication to DEP to allow, disallow that to continue. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. And I'll be putting this on my behalf. Any of my colleagues that wish to add their name to my letter can reach out to the clerk, and she can add you to the letter that we drafted with the state rep. Councilor Rizzo.
Thank you, Madam President. I wholeheartedly concur with the motion. I thank you for that. And I also want to publicly thank Representative Vincent for her work in protecting her constituents and residents across our community. I've been consistent going back several years now. It seems as though Wheeler-Brader has been a conversation piece, trying to expand, in some cases, I think skirt what the requirements are. It's the only, I think, unlined landfill, certainly in the area, I don't know, maybe anywhere. And when you start talking about those stacks, I don't care how many filters they put in, the toxins that are going up through those stacks, there absolutely is no doubt in my mind that there are some toxic gases that do escape through those stacks. It's a very, very troubling. I don't know how it ever started in Lynn, quite honestly. It should be somewhere else, a more remote place. And I know there's a cost involved with that, but when you weigh public health versus, dollars, that to me is a no-brainer. I'll choose public health over cost anytime. And that doesn't mean just throw caution to the wind, but we have people that live throughout this community that suffer higher levels of cancer, higher levels of asthma, higher levels of respiratory disease. And I have to believe that not only because of Wheeler-Brader, but I have to believe that they are a contributor to that. So anything we can do to make them just comply with what Massachusetts law is something that we should be doing. So I want to thank you for that again, Madam President.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to inform the clerk that I want to be on that letter. Thank you.
Any other councilors? Councilor Morabito, then Councilor Novoselsky. So I know Councilor Guanasso, McKenna, Morabito, Novoselsky, Rizzo, Powers, Patch. Councilor Keefe, you in? Keefe, you want to be on the letter? All right, so all of the councilors excluding Councilor Zambuto, which Councilor Zambuto?
Thank you, Madam President. And I can appreciate all the commentary here tonight. Unfortunately, most of it was emotional crap and not based in fact. Now, just for the record, there was a comment that they're operating outside the law. Most waste-to-energy plants, all waste-to-energy plants are operating at 200 parts per million NOx. Wheelabrator consistently operates at 185 parts per million NOx. Now, you can attack Wheelabrator and you can say they're expanded and you can talk about unlined landfills when there's a clay there that's 10 times as good as a little vinyl liner. But we won't get into that. I can bring you I've done the research and I can bring you a piece of the clay that's up there with the filtration system that nothing escapes from that place. Of course, you don't hear that because all you hear is emotion and misinformation. So the bottom line is that Wheelabrator currently operates under the 200 parts per million that is currently the law. Now, DEP has set a goal to go to 150 parts per million of NOx. Now, for those of you that don't know about this nitrogen oxygen stuff, what it is, airplanes and traffic emit much worse than what's emitted at Wheelabrator, okay? Nobody talks about that. They talk about Wheelabrator's looking to go below the law. That's, in fact, not true. So, certainly I'm not going to sign this letter, and you have the right, and everybody can sign this letter, and it's all well and good. But when you put the facts and science up against emotional stuff that's put out here, my colleague to my right signed a 10-year contract with Wheelabrator when he was mayor. So, you know, we can talk out both sides of our mouth up here, but I try to talk about what the truth and what the facts of the science are. What I talk about can be proven, okay? So I'm against the letter, but I don't think it'll have any effect, just like the non-toxic ash that was permitted when everybody opposed it, and we put in these resolutions to stop Wheelabrator from killing people. Well, the facts and science don't prove that there's more asthma and there's more stuff going on because of Wheelabrator. You can say that, and there's people that have made a living. There's people that have made a living saying that. There's a guy in Saugus, Manoogian, who's made his career on false, bringing in people to back up mostly rhetoric. But the facts and science are on Wheelabrator's side here, and so I don't support the letter.
Thank you, Councilor.
Madam President, I feel the need to respond. My colleague to the left alluded to the fact of signing a 10-year contract. And yeah, our trash needs to be disposed of, so a contract did need to be signed. That doesn't mean that we have to support expansion. That doesn't mean that we have to support their efforts to skirt the law. Apparently, the councilor is happy with the fact that the toxins are 185 and not the 200. I'd prefer to see them at 0, quite honestly. But that's not the case. We have statistically, the city of Revere, you can go to the Department of Public Health, have higher rates of everything that I talked about. Higher cancer rates, higher respiratory disease, higher asthma. Those are facts. So if you want to deal in facts, let's deal in facts. And can I point to the fact that it's all about Wheelabrator? No, but anybody, any reasonable person that drives by and sees those stacks burning 24 hours a day and those toxicity and that toxicity level, whatever it is, I never saw the councilor up on top of that stack taking any measurements, okay? All I know is that I see toxins that are coming out of that Wheelabrator site. I didn't build the site, Madam President. It happens to be where the trash is being dumped. It's being dumped there today. But I take great exception to the councilor accusing me somehow of supporting Wheelabrator's efforts to circumvent the DEP or the EPA, to expand their operations. That was never part of the conversation in signing a contract to legitimately get rid of our trash. So that was an unfair slap by the councilor, and I don't appreciate it one bit.
Councilors, I don't want this to get into a back and forth. I know Councilor Zambudo has one more comment, and then Councilor Powers.
I'm not looking to get into back and forth. Part of my comment about signing a 10-year contract was fiscally was a great deal. Fiscally, we pay a lot less than other people because you signed that contract. That wasn't meant to be a slap. It was meant to say that we need to get rid of our trash in a reasonable and financially fiscal proper way. To try to restrict Wheelabrator would be a burden on the taxpayer and mostly on the seniors. Now, we may have more health issues than other places because we're an urban community with an airport, with planes that fly over here. And I told you that the science proves that airplanes and traffic pollution is much worse than what's admitted, and that's factual data.
Thank you, Councilor.
That's it, I'm done.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. When you get the calls at 3 o'clock in the morning because there's a malfunction in their system over there, and people are wondering what the loud whistling noises
Councilor
are.
Powers, with all due respect, we want to stick to the motion.
I am. Fact is that under today's laws, that facility would not be allowed to be built there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors?
Eric Lambadacchio, 43 Tapley Avenue. Thank you, Councilor Janino, for putting this forward. When it comes to toxic emissions and public health, there can be no exceptions. Thank you.
Well said. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Roll call on Councilor Janino's motion. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch is absent. Okay. Councilor Powers.
Here, yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes?
Yes. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Zambudo.
No.
No. And Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes. The motion has been approved. There's no further business.
Thank you. There's no further business. I'll just reiterate some facts from earlier in the meeting. I want to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah that's celebrating. A few events happening this week throughout the city. Let me see. First, on Thursday at 5 p.m. is the Costa Park lighting. Sunday at 5 o'clock is the Beachmont tree lighting. And Tuesday at 4:30 is the menorah lighting at City Hall. Tomorrow. Councilor Keefe?
We also have on Wednesday, the 8th, the 12th, we also have coat and toy drive at Volare.
Councilor Morabito.
I just want to state a point of personal privilege. I just want to wish well wishes to Mike and Phyllis Prizio, who got in a car accident last weekend. They're recovering. And on behalf of us, the City Council, we want to wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you, Councilor Morabito. Any other public service announcements? The City Council meeting will be adjourned until December 17th. Thank you.